Welcome to How to Be a Humane Leader Without Losing Your Job. We're here to chat about humane leadership in a way that's real and relatable, tackling work-life challenges, and offer practical advice to navigate tough decisions. Whether you're leading a team or navigating your own career, we got you covered. I'm Roberto Torres, a startup engineering leader, and with me is Chris Olerke, a Fortune 100 IT leader. We'll dive into the real world stuff, share experiences, and offer guidance on leading with compassion while keeping your career on track. Today, we will discuss how a humane leader prepares the team for change and stress. Morning, Chris. How are you?
I am doing great. Spring is in full bloom here in Tennessee. It's really turning nice. I hope it's going well by you.
Indeed, it is. As we are recording, I'm recording in a t-shirt instead of a hoodie. So yeah,
Excellent, excellent. It is a wonderful time of the year. However, depending on what kind of business you're in, it could
yeah.
be stressful or it may be a slow period. It really kind of depends. If you're in a construction business, now is when things really start to get crazy. You can start building like crazy. If you're in the Christmas tree business, it's probably not too stressful right now. Not much going on. You're not selling too many Christmas ornaments or Christmas trees right now.
Yeah, indeed. And also, let's say that we are not in April, but we are in December. And if you are in the Christmas tree industry or the hospitality or in retail specialized in Christmas sales, you'll be very busy.
Yes, different businesses have a lot of different stress periods. If you're in tax accounting, for example, in the United States, April 15th is our tax filing deadline. So right now, if you're an accountant and you have a team of accountants doing tax preparation for US citizens, you're extremely stressed right now. And a humane leader needs to be able to deal with that, right? And help their team through the stressful period, because I don't think except for maybe emergency room doctors, you know, most businesses have stress and then more relaxed period, then stress and then more relaxed period. And for us as humane leaders, we need to watch for that and help educate our team on when those cycles are, what the best ways to deal with them are, what some of the stresses in your current job and timing.
Well, actually, it is a really good question. I think that we don't have so far a month or a certain amount of um, not an amount of time, specific dates in which we will have a peak because clinicians don't tend to work um, the most in a specific month, and then either in others won't. But I could tell you about some industries that I used to work before. I used to work in last mile logistics, and in Mexico we had two biggest peak months. But the most important was from mid-October to mid-January because it crosses many different sales, not only Christmas, but also many. So I was sleeping back then. But at that company, I was also the CEO besides the CTO, and I was working, sleeping an average 3 hours per day because
Oh, wow.
every single day we had deliveries with many drivers because all the gifts and all the buys and the purchases that were done. So I know exactly what it has to be in that kind of situation, swimming in acid because you have a lot of job. And this is the purpose of this episode to first of all, as a human leader, understand, identify when are these peak months or peak days, peak weeks, and to prepare our team for what is coming. Because if we don't do that, we're going to get burned and fire on fire on those days.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, and depending on how you came into your leadership role in the company, whether you're a new leader who came in from the outside and so you need to learn some of these cycles from the team, or vice versa, you're hiring into your team, you'll deal with these things different ways. So if you're hiring teams into that logistics company, you, during the interview process, you really kind of need to make the candidate, the person being interviewed, you know, aware of some of these cycles, because you may have special requirements for the job because, hey, it is going to be stressful during these peak shipping periods. And in general, we don't approve holiday or vacations more than a day or two long during this 2 to 3 month period, because everybody needs to be here. If a system goes down, if there's something going wrong, everybody needs to be here to make sure things are running smoothly. Because we do, for a lot of shipping companies, especially those impacted by holidays, they might do 75% of their business in just 3 months of the year or 2 months of the year. So you really have to be all hands on deck for that. But if this candidate's coming from a company that didn't have those peaks and valleys, you could take a vacation anytime you wanted as long as you scheduled it ahead of time, right?
Yes, but also the thing is, that's why I think that using your words and is identifying if that candidate is going to be a fit for the culture that you have. And the culture is not only how we treat people, how we see a goal and we get into achieving that goal, but also this peak months and peak days, which actually could be really stressful for many people because we have seen that uh, people doesn't get along with change. And if suddenly change appears and you haven't been prepared, it's going to be a hell of a day for you. So we had to prepare our team, for the team as a whole, not only the people who has been in these situations before the years before, but also the new ones and ourselves as well, because it might be that in this case, in this logistics company, maybe we have a number of deliveries per day, but maybe it has increased the operations 50%, 100%, or more. So maybe it will skyrocket the changes and the stress that we're going to happen. So we require to be not only prepared, but we require to have a lot of communication with other departments about how big this change is going to be.
Yeah, I think as humane leaders and leaders in general, this is where even a boss needs to have their humane leadership cap on, is really looking at the big picture. Are you looking at economic changes and things that are outside the company, right? Outside the company's control. And you start to see, as you develop your leadership skills, you start to see the interconnected pieces that could cause stress for your company. And if you're a good leader, you see these things coming before others, which gives you time to prepare. And that's a critical part, because you know, everybody, I think in any job, eventually you have some firefighting crisis, you know, where it comes out of nowhere and there wasn't a lot you could do to prepare for it. But as humane leaders, we need to be forward thinking and observing the world in general, the competing businesses we have, and how does that impact the stress on our teams? Because there might be something new that's happening in the business world that is going to put a lot of stress on our team. So what kinds of things are going on? Oh, a war starts in Iran. Well, what do I care about, you know, that? I live over here in Mexico. That's way far away on the other side of the planet. Oh, well, oil prices are going to go up. Okay, but I have an electric car. Yeah, but all the parts, all the replacement parts for your electric car get shipped through there. All the electronics get made and get shipped through there. There's these far-reaching impacts that we need to help our team prepare for. There could be economic stress. In your logistics company example, all of a sudden fuel prices could go way up. And it's a big impact that if you have signed contracts with your customers that you can't increase your rates, so you still got to pay the increase in diesel costs, that's going to put stress on your team. Why? Because company profits go down. And trust me, when company profits go down, stress goes up. So how can we help our team prepare for that? Well, if you've been at the company a long time, there's been ups and downs in fuel prices. What'd you do last time? What did you learn from that experience? Share it with your younger team members. What did we have to do? Well, we had to do more consolidation of freight to try and make it more efficient. So send less trucks out, get more on the truck. Okay, everybody, I need you all thinking about how do we make our routes even more efficient than they were already. You got to take some of your team and get them thinking about those kinds of topics before it gets really stressful. And by really stressful, I mean, hey, the company's stressed financially, so we're giving everybody a 10% pay cut for the next 3 months until diesel prices recover. Pay cut? I don't want that. How about instead we try and think about efficient trucking routes? So a humane leader tries to come up with things that can manage the business cycle stress in a way that hopefully doesn't have a lasting stress on our employees, like a layoff, right? Instead, we would want to have manage that. So efficiency in shipping or other creative ideas, depending on the business you're in, of course, you have to think about those things. And that's what a leader, humane or boss, better be doing. The humane leader communicates that to their employees to prepare for that kind of radical thinking. What do we do? Hey, well, then Roberto can take some of the packages in his car on the way home. On his way home, Roberto's going to do some deliveries. Why? Because it saves us 10 miles in a semi truck that is very, out of their way, and it costs more. There's some creative, you won't do it all the time. Roberto's not going to be delivering packages, for the next, 10 years of his career. No, just for the next 3-4 months till diesel prices recover. Any small packages, if they're on the route where some of our employees are commuting home, let's do those deliveries, and we'll give everybody who participates in the self-delivery, we'll give them a $50 gift card.
Nice. Yes. What we have spoken so far are forecasted changes. Because we know the dates, the range of dates that is going to happen in our industry, in our company. But what about surprise changes? And I'm going to recall COVID. When COVID struck, I was working at that company, at that logistic company. Our operation grew 3x. It was something out of proportion. We didn't have the number of units, so we had crowd sourcing strategies, and we hired many people. But if you recall, back then, well, we have health and sanitary measures. We had to not only use face shields and to cover our mouth and do not touch people. And that brought a lot of stress because it was something that would affect your health and maybe go you to die. So we lived in that stress constantly and the changes because I remember well at that company, 2 people died of COVID. It was one driver who used to work for me, and the other one was a guy of the finance team. So everything was, we were like a 500 people company back then. But if you see now in the distance everything that we did back then, right now we are, like a mile, we sneeze with our sleep, but back then we didn't. It was really heavy stress. So yes, we had to prepare ourselves for the upcoming change. But when this kind of changes and stress that maybe we are not prepared because we cannot be prepared for 100%, we have to act logically. We have to have a lot of communication with our team. We have to have a lot of communication in our one-on-ones to understand how they are managing stress, how they are managing change, what are they thinking, how they are reflecting that stress. Are because I knew people who um, who were dropping hair, who suddenly began dropping hair because they couldn't handle the stress. So we have to be prepared to let them know, yes, that they have our support, but they have also maybe strategies and techniques to diffuse stress. We know the first one, it is exercise. When you do exercise, you will help your body and your mind to diffuse all this, and is something for them to know. And also other kind of stuff, enjoying personal time, taking away work from personal life, put it on, aside and say, okay, you recognize that it is over there, but enjoy. Enjoy the time with your wife, with your son, with your kids, with your friends, your personal time alone with yourself. So it has to be a constant wise use of tools and techniques for them to be just because we could land in that stress and change ourselves as well.
Yes, and that humane leader, as you're mentioning those techniques, is helping your team understand and you staying calm, at least on the outside. You may be very stressed on the inside, staying calm on the outside, and outlining different plans for each of the scenarios. You're right. You can't forecast a pandemic like COVID. You can only semi-forecast a tornado. Those are very quick. Hurricanes, you get a couple of weeks preparation, right? So depending on what is causing the stress, we can coach our team through scenarios. If this happens, we're going to try this, this, and this. If this other thing happens, we'll try this, this, and this. And it gets them thinking ahead of time. And in general, not always, but in general, that kind of pre-planning helps people remain calm. Because, hey, we've got a plan, we've got some steps, maybe we're writing them down, maybe it's something formal that we've written down, maybe it's just a discussion amongst the group for consensus on, yeah, this seems reasonable, if this happens, that's what we'll do. And those kinds of things can really make the big difference in managing your stress, because at least until the crisis actually occurs, you feel you've got some sense of control. I mean, a total chaos, hurricane comes in and knocks down your building, your major warehouse. You can have plans, but you're going to have to adjust them on the fly once you see what the actual crisis manifests itself into. But by talking through some of these scenarios with people, you start to help them eliminate the craziest of the scenarios that are causing them the most stress. Because I think that's one of the things in stress. Stress is good for you. You don't want no stress, because stress motivates you to prepare for a crisis, and sometimes there are crises. Instead, planning for different scenarios helps you manage the stress, to use it effectively, to motivate, to get actions and get things done. And I think that, as a humane leader, my primary thing is I would not deny anybody's possibility of a scenario. Like, oh, a meteor could come down and take out the city we're living in. This is true. It could, but the percentage chance that it'll happen is low. But since you brought it up, let's talk about what we could do. Well, usually NASA or the space agencies of our countries identify it at least a day or two out. As long as it isn't the size that wiped out the dinosaurs, we could logistically move people, et cetera, et cetera. So even as crazy as the disaster might get, I think as humane leaders, if we kind of step through, well, if it's this, then we could try this or this or this. And regardless of whether it's a holiday crisis in shipping, that all the truck drivers go on strike in your logistics company November 1st and it's the holiday season, or whether you're, a different company that has tax crises or whatever, if we can talk through those scenarios calmly with our team and help brainstorm, have them participate in managing the stress. This isn't, as long as we're not bosses, we're humane leaders, right? It's not a top-down dictate kind of situation, because you need some of those crazy ideas like a meteor hitting to help you prioritize where you're going to put your effort, because it's not zero chance the meteor is going to hit, but there is a chance of a hurricane coming through and knocking out electrical power. So let's put a little more energy into the hurricane planning and the tornado planning and a little bit less on the meteor planning.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, totally agree. If we, as human leaders, act as you mentioned, the team is going to feel supported, and not only supported. When they see us calm, that we are facing this wave that it is hitting us or will be striking us, and they see ourselves in calm, it's going to be much better with them. I will tell you something. I think that I haven't spoken of this before, but back on December 31st, 2014, uh, I was in Mexico. My parents were in Mexico. My family was in Mexico. We were going to meet at a restaurant, and we're going to have a New Year's Eve party and etc. Suddenly at 2 p.m., my sister calls me and tells me my dad is in the hospital. What? How? Why? I didn't understand. So I drove to the hospital, and my dad was having some problems. To make this long stuff shorter, he fell in his head during a trip 1 week before, and he passed out. And what happened was all the blood was flooding his brain. So he had to have brain surgery. Imagine that. So the doctor says we're going to do it on January 1st. Imagine after the party and everything, the doctors. And I was really, really, really myself, my mom, my sister, my son, everybody in the family was really, really worried what was going to happen. Because one thing is to have a surgery that that it's going to happen in 1 month, 2 months, and you're going to prepare. But that specific day, the following day was going to be the surgery. And my dad, is what was so calm. At January 1st, we were several hours before the surgery. My dad was so calm that it really it spread, it will be the correct word, all this calmness into ourselves. And I felt good, and everybody at the family were good. One of my sisters walked my dad to the OR before she couldn't be. And then my dad snapped because he was pretending that he was calm in order for the family to be calm. And the surgery was great. I don't know how many hours it was, but when we saw him and the doctor said everything went cool, we did the brain surgery and no motive motor
Motor skills problems.
motor skills. No motor skills were affected. Thank you, and everything. It was well. And my dad still lives, and he hasn't had anything related to that surgery. So yes, I know when your humility isn't calm and spreads this calmness among many other things, you feel well, and you feel that everything will be you're trusting that everything will be fine.
Absolutely. I think we just came up with a skill to add to the humane leadership toolbox. Is sometimes a humane leader needs to be a really good actor.
Oh yes, yes. Well, yeah, my dad was good at it back then. I don't see it
Absolutely.
now. So yeah. Okay, great. Well, I think that with this we can end this episode. It was a really good one. For everybody who listens to this episode, calmness is one of the factors that you as a human leader have to have in stressful situations.
That and acting. We may have to have a podcast on acting.
I might not. Okay, great.
All right. We'll see you later.